Hey guys, this is Drew from ZP Reviews, coming with the next video in the Amazon playlist. And today I'd like to talk about outsourcing and when you should do it and why you should do it. So first off, well, I said when and then I said why, but really it's backwards. Let's start with the why. Why should you outsource? Now, for us, when we were thinking about it and looking at everything, we were just at Amazon, right? So we had our product going, we had PPC, we had the launch was ongoing, but then we realized that, relatively quickly, the marketing side was huge. So obviously we did a lot of research, we were reading, we were watching webinars, did trainings. We realized that Amazon is just the tip of the iceberg. Obviously, online business is a huge, very wide-spanning field. So you can see, at that point, and honestly, even now, like I'm doing YouTube, I'm doing multiple things. So we started saying, well, can we do it all alone? And then furthermore, how much time would it take to learn each thing? And, what we realized is that, we came from the corporate world, and, out there it's very bureaucratic, right? This person's good at this person's good at that, and then there's managers, and then they all work together, right? And every place has their own process, but the big thing is you get more done with different skill sets. So what do? We identified that we were poor at marketing. We were deficient. We understood Amazon, we put a lot of time in, but we didn't understand marketing. And we said, well, what if we had someone that could just help us with that, right? Because we already saw other YouTubers, other influencers who were using either video editors, copywriters, this and that, and we're just like, man, there's so much that goes into each little thing. You have to be good. Well, I would say you have to be good, but you can potentially be good at a lot of different things, but it takes time to get good at them. So we said we wanted to hire a marketer, and it was weird at first because our first run-in with this was on Upwork. This wasn't a marketer. We were getting a graphic designer to help us, do our designs, but we got a ton of experience that way. The only problem was with going the Upwork route was that it was contract, and contracting, I'm not going to say you're going to get better work or less work, but it's a one-way street where basically this is the service that's being offered, this is what you're getting. You can talk it through and try to get more for your money, this and that, but the big thing is that once you're done with the contract, that's it, and then they're off working for someone else or doing their own thing. But we were just like, man, wouldn't it be nice to just have someone that worked for us, for ZP Reviews, And that's when we said we're just going to do it. And we ended up finding a site called Onlinejobs.ph, specifically that because it's in the Philippines. And what we found, one of the earliest things that gave us so much trouble on Upwork when we were calling and talking to these people was that their English was just like, it was so. They weren't really... It's like you could tell they knew what they were doing when they were writing it, but they couldn't communicate well, and that kind of killed us, because that's what we feel like is important, is that if you communicate right the first time, you'll get work done a lot easier. So we said, in the Philippines, right, English is the second language, so it's important from an early age that they all learn English to a degree. So we went there exactly for that reason. And ever since we hired someone, it was, I won't lie, it took a little bit because we had to train and we had to get to know them, obviously, and little by little we started adding things. But even though we took a hit in the short term on marketing, right, because it costs more now, we hired someone and we also have services and this and that, but now that some of these tasks are automated and he just takes it and he runs with it, we have more time. We're able to get more done. Things that we originally said that he couldn't do, he can, just because we're continuously training. And all of a sudden the time that we're buying is becoming more and more valuable. And I feel like that's what's lost when you do contracting, is that you don't, the person you work with, it's kind of 50-50 if they grow with you. And more than likely it's probably like 25% chance they'll grow with you, because then what is it? You have to keep paying them. But when it's your person that is working for you, working on your stuff solely, we found that, man, we were just like doing more, because the big thing that this came up in is that we found that you could do jobs for local businesses, and this was the main reason we wanted to try it, was because there's no inventory, right? And you're just doing, it just takes the time. It takes the time and research, and we hired a person, and then we found a couple other little things just to, close the loop. But then we ended up with a person that's a content marketer and now generates money for our business. And if we were doing it solo, this would just not happen whatsoever. And I think the reason why I'm telling, my subscribers about this is that, even my mentor that makes great money on Amazon, he's working himself to the bone doing it. He was doing like 12-hour days or 14-hour days, just constantly staring at Amazon. And, I mentioned to him, I was like, hey, why don't you get yourself a guy that helps you with Amazon? And he's just like, why? Well, you can get it for pretty cheap. Ready for this? And, in the Philippines, minimum wage is like $100 a month. It's something really small based on the conversion rates from dollars to I forget, it's like PHP, but basically you can, it's dirt cheap. I mean, it's not expensive, and that little tidbit was just like, we can afford this, and it was worth our time, because when you're paying someone, we're paying like $4 an hour, but we're getting significantly more out of those hours than the 4. And honestly, we're at a point where we're ready to hire more, because we're just like, wow, the more infrastructure we have, the more processes of our businesses we don't have to worry as hard about. Like, even if they're only a C, we don't have to worry. They're still generating money, or they're fulfilling their function. And this is the idea of creating that structure for your business, because a business should be able to run without your input. That's how you get to passive income, is when your business is running irrespective of what you're doing, right? And I guess now that we have our guy and we're looking at a second, it's kind of like, well, what else can we do? If, say, in my case, it's a marketer. Well, what if I had a copywriter, a graphic designer that was just full-time, a video editor, right? I'd love to get some fancier stuff for the video. I'm still working on that, guys. But all of a sudden, what might cost you, say, $1,000 a month, that sounds pretty hefty, but as opposed to paying money where it's sunk, you pay money to have assets, to people that can run your business. We might be able to double, triple our revenues that way. And this wouldn't be possible if we were just doing it solo. So we definitely, we saw that, and we're just like, we got to try this. I'm going to leave a link to Online Jobs, and you guys can check it out for yourself. And also, I use a payment app. It's TransferWise. It makes it pretty simple. And we've been doing that, and I wouldn't say it's the cheat code. I feel like all businesses need to hire, but I think the fear with most people is like, I don't trust people running my business. But you got to think of like the corner store, right? This is a good example. Corner store has, all sorts of little stocks, beer and sodas and snacks, gum, shit like that. But a lot of these guys, they'll set up these businesses, but then they'll run it all the time. I'm just like, what if you were just to hire someone, for minimum wage or something, to just take care of your store? Then all of a sudden, you're able to do other things. And this is the same thing I told my mentor, and he was just like, you might be onto something. It's like, it'll be growing pains, but what happens once you have your time back? You can focus on building more business, which is where the real money is. Working in your business doesn't generate more money, not really, as opposed to creating more, more offers, more ways for you to get paid. And thanks to, hiring, we can get back to working on our business and not in our business. And I can't stress enough that Online Jobs was like, yes, thank you. And they offer little things like if you pay more to them, they have like people overseas that will act as like managers for you. We don't do that. We have a much more personal relationship. We get on Skype about once a week, and then we talk through WhatsApp. He's a funny guy. He's like 20. But you know, if you're reasonably mature and you understand people pretty well, you'd be surprised once you get someone to help you. And you don't have to go outsource. For us, it just made financial sense. I mean, you could definitely look around. There's definitely like you know, people that need to work at home or disabled or this or that in America that'll definitely do these kind of things. And I just think that if you take the things that you don't think you're very good at and you get a second set of eyes, someone else to help you with it, let them be the expert or build them up to the expert level, you can really generate more money. And I think it's worth it. As far as timing, the when part, that's all based on what sort of money that you're floating. So you probably have so much cash, and then you have your revenues coming in, and then your outflows. You have to decide, you know, how much of that would you be willing to put forth, and you just have to say, well, if I get this person, I can do X amount more, and that's going to translate to more revenue. You got to decide that. But the biggest thing is that it's not a matter of how can you have to think more clever. You have to think, what could I do if I had 2 people or 3 people? If I could do this with more than one person, and you're ready, you're willing to take the risk, right, to start the business. Are you willing to, you know, get more people in your structure? If you're willing to do that, take that risk and work with another person that will help you build your assets, maybe you should give it a shot. Because we did, and we don't regret it, because not only, you know, I have my whole day to work on business, but now I can double my efforts. So, you know, that's the next one. If you guys know about a good video editor, that's what I'm looking for next. I wanna try to make these nicer. I'm actually planning to get like a drone. So I'm in Boston, so maybe we can get some shots of the area so you guys can see it. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys. It's definitely worth it. You know, if you're just starting, I definitely don't recommend it. But say you're a product in, 2 products in, and you're building your website, you're building your brand presence, I think that's the right time. That's the right time. You know, we have him for 20 hours. We're about to bump him up to 40. But, you know, it made a huge difference in our workflow, and also there's less questions. Instead of running to training, you know what I do now? It's like, you know, I'm like, I won't say his name, but I say, hey, you know, today, you know, I don't have much for you, but I want you to go watch these videos, go learn this, and then come back and summarize it, right? So he'll learn it, he'll be forced to write it down, and he'll have to teach me. And by teaching me, he'll learn, and then I can trust him even further. And honestly, that's a beautiful thing, especially if I start getting more of them. Because the more experts I have that I can turn to, ooh, every dollar goes further. So, yeah, so this is my video on outsourcing, and this is Drew from ZP Reviews. Thank you for your time.